Hey, my brothers and sisters, I want to talk to you for a few minutes about the lockdown and church issues. And we shall have our devotions at 10 tonight. So this is not a devotion, this is just a discussion on my observation on the lockdown and the church issues and all that. If you look at what government has laid down as rule and guidelines, um, we are on level 4 now. There is nothing forthcoming really. If you look at what they're suggesting, level 5, level 4, level 3, level 2, level 2, and they say nothing about church. And this cannot be treated lightly, because whereas they've allowed people to start operating saloons, there are informal traders, and people have gone back to the mines. um, People are riding from Joburg to Cape Town in buses in this window. Nothing is said about church. Now, that could be an innocent and very honest oversight, except that you should not forget, we're dealing with the same people who a few months ago, a few years back, were pushing a very strong United Nations 10-point plan agenda, which also includes the regulation of religion. Now, basically, those of you who are married, it's a situation where if your husband says he's going through stress at work, he comes home with a prescription, the doctor said he must not be romantic or intimate, you could live with that, except if you consider that just a few months earlier was starting to cheat on you, even without a prescription, even without a medical condition, he was not intimate with you anymore. You treat with suspicion even his most honest explanations around issues. One, I'd never speak on my behalf because at any given time I'm representing someone. And but where we sit, one, we treat with suspicion every government's dealings with the church. That they did not consider as essential services, that in itself says volumes. Now, 78% of South Africans are Christian. That's 48 million plus, considering there are only 57 million. Now, when South Africans willingly have chosen religion, they've willingly chosen Islam, they've willingly chosen Hinduism, they've willingly chosen Christianity as part of as a very critical support system. When they go through crisis on a daily basis, their child is ill, they call the pastor. They have problems in their marriage, they call the imam. They have a situation with their in-laws, they call the church. They have chosen that. They have declared the church, they've declared Islam, they've declared the mosque, they've declared the synagogue as part of their psycho-emotional spiritual support system under normal circumstances with less grievous challenges. I have a dispute at work, and I mean, if you've been a township preacher for as long as some of us have been, you know the township preacher is a mechanic. The township preacher is a marriage counselor, legal advisor, medical doctor. The township preacher is everything to the people. And that is when everything is well. There is no virus, there is no pandemic, there is no crisis, there is no impending feeling of doom. They run to church. Two, under normal circumstances, they will brave the rain, They will brave the cold. They'll brave the snow. They'll go sneezing and coughing to work to earn money that they willingly give to the preacher. Don't forget what makes the preacher not powerful, but left for a better word, more powerful than an employer is. People work to get money from the employer, but they willingly give it to the church because they believe the church is meeting some need in their life. They believe that when the church is well financed and well supported, there is a need the church meets that the employer does not. So they'll work for the employer, get money from the employer, and they'll give it to someone they're not working for, who they think is fulfilling an important need in their life. That they did voluntarily. Now, when these people, without any crisis, everything is going well at work, they're getting promoted, they're graduating, they're getting the women and the men of their dreams, every week, they think their lives are incomplete unless they go to a church meeting, unless they congregate with other Christians, unless they collect it. Don't forget, people can pray in their homes. We've been praying in our homes since this lockdown. We've been reading the Bible in our homes. They'll bring Bibles from their houses. They'll go to a central place where a man of God or some woman of God is going to. This they do voluntarily. If these people, when things are running smooth for them, they make time for church when they don't have problems. When you preach to them and you say, anybody who has a problem, please come to the front, they sit because they have no problems. If they volunteer to go to church when nothing is going wrong in their lives, that's how much they perceive the church to be significant to their existence. How do you remove that benefit in terms of confusion, terms of fear, of uncertainty, every form of apprehension, every form of trepidation? How do you remove that benefit? A benefit they find significant when nothing is going wrong in their lives. How do you, in the days of crisis, where they need assurance, where they need somebody to pray with them, when they need someone to hold hands with them, how do you take it away from them? And you say it's for their safety. Fine. They live with the fact that you have a level 5 lockdown and therefore nobody's venturing out into public. We understand that because the virus, the virus does not is moved by people. So you say, okay, we're imposing a national lockdown and now everybody stays indoors. They understand that. Then you begin to lift the lockdown because you have other pressure groups. Then they see their saloon open. They see the informal trader back on the streets. They see mines open because the mine owners, the white minority capital, have a stronghold on government, and they see all these other institutions open. We are talking 78% of the South African population claiming to be Christian. That means basically, if you don't understand what I'm saying, out of every 100 South Africans you meet on the streets, out of every 100 South Africans in a bus, out of every 100 South Africans in mining, 7.8 of them are Christian, 78 of them are Christian. Out of every 10 people you meet in the street, 7.8 are Christian. That means these Christians, they risk their lives to make money for their white bosses. These Christians are now risking their lives to bring up gold and all platinums up to the surface for their white bosses. Now, these people are risking their lives now because they're working in banks, they're working in supermarkets, checkers. Now, they have been venturing out 5 days a week for no less than 45 hours a week. I mean, 5 days a day, 5 days a week, which translates into 45 hours, one hour of traveling there. You top it up with 10 hours or 55 to 60. They are out there, and you're telling them that it's so risky for them to venture out for 2 hours on Sunday morning to get spiritually connected and to get the comfort they have subscribed for. Don't forget, church was not forced down these people's throats. Now you are beginning to trample on their toes, considering that at this stage, as one intelligent lawyer we spoke to this morning was saying, at this stage, you don't even have a state of emergency. This is such a national state of disaster. How do you expect this church to be content with the fact that they see people jogging? People jog. Now, people are allowed to jog from 6 to 9 every morning. You saw what happened at Sea Point there, where they were jogging all at the same time, and there was a sizable crowd. Those people on the Sea Point pier were no less than 200. But they're allowed to go there for 3 hours of jogging. They're allowed to queue. Look at what happened in Olivenhout there. They're allowed to queue for food. That crowd was no less than 2,000-3,000 people. For hours they're queuing for food. But the same people cannot congregate in groups of 10 or 50 or 100 with social distance, with the sanitation, with mask. What are you saying to them? I think this has gone beyond precaution, and government is beginning to trample underfoot our religious right. Because basically, while we're trying to come into grips with that, then they throw us with nonsensical and unreasonable allegations. Right now, I'm in Bloemfontein. I live in Bloemfontein. Now, they are telling us, look at that judgment with that Muslim case. They say, no, don't forget that a church gathering in Bloemfontein spread this virus. No, a church gathering in Bloemfontein did not spread the virus. Government failed to protect the community in Bloemfontein, because when that meeting took place, it was 90 days after this funny virus was declared a global pandemic. Yet they let tourists, for whatever reason, they let tourists walk through customs unchecked, and those tourists infected the city. So much as they want to blame us, we are blaming them for failing to protect the Christian community in Bloemfontein. That blame falls flatly at the feet of God, because we, the Bloemfontein Christian community, are not in charge of customs. We don't work for the Department of Health. We could not enforce those health restrictions on the travelers. And let's be honest, let's speak in context. Right now we are saying, allow us to meet, and they say, no, the last time you met in March, you spread a virus through a province. But the context was different. When that meeting took place in Bloemfontein, 1, there was no declared state of national disaster. 1, 2, there were no precautionary measures put in place. If you are to reconvene that same gathering with the same participants under the same the different circumstances now, if you said have masks, FEMA gave the room, put on gloves, whatever, if you did that, the outcomes would have been different. Now, we can't allow them to keep throwing that at us. But another argument is, if you're saying we can't have church because the last time there was a church in one province, about a few people, 30 or so, I don't even know how many people there were infected. Now, we are standing at infections of in excess of 5,000 now. Deaths in excess of 133 now. You can't say all those people are infected in church. What about the very medical staff who get infected in hospitals? You close the hospitals for a while and reopen it. What about the people who get infected at Dis-Chem? You close it after a while and open it. Now, you can't keep haunting us with memories of an unfortunate situation that took place 2 months ago. The truth of the matter is, government will never freely surrender worship, public worship, back to the church. You must wake up to the fact that this government will never voluntarily say church meet, because in the first instance, in the absence of any pandemic, they never believed very much. That's why they wanted to regulate us. Now, part of the problem is when you have a meeting with preachers and they speak for government, but when the politicians meet alone, they don't speak for church. We are bracing ourselves for a situation where, I'm telling you now, next year this time, there will still be not public worship. And don't forget, public worship is not a social thing. And as a Christian, you can't be not bothered that you are not assembling, because it was commanded by the Lord. It was commanded. The scriptures command us not to neglect the coming together of the saints. So I'm saying to you right now, we need to rise and start asking critical questions, or else we'll be left out in the cold. As it is now, where as government says they can't trust church people with gatherings. We have church engineers who are back in the mines. We have we have Christian engineers, we have Christian medical doctors, Christian radiographers, Christian nurses, Christian soldiers, Christian police who have been out in the public. So which part of the church are imbeciles? Which part of the church are stupid? That you trust them, that means Christians are trustworthy on government assignments and untrustworthy on their own. It does not give sense, because the church has been out there. We have Christian cashiers in supermarkets. We have Christian pharmacists. We have Christian taxi drivers. We have Christian informal traders. Now you treat us like complete idiots, to the extent that now you're talking about letting teenagers out in the public. As we talk now, had there been no resistance, Angie Musera was opening school this week. Now, here I am, I'm 57. I'm sitting in my home, and we have toddlers and teenagers in the house. Government says, no, preacher, Christians stay behind closed doors. And they let the 10-year-olds go to school and then run freely around the playground there. And we must understand that these kids will understand that they have to put on a mask. They'll understand that they have to sanitize. What are you saying about us? Church, wake up. This is going way beyond precautionary measures and is now venturing into the contravention of our basic religious rights. We are saying with restricted numbers, we are saying with precautionary measures in place, at least show us the respect by saying a preacher is essential services. We are not essential services. Preachers are not even trusted, not let alone at a big church meeting, in being given a permit to go from house to house, sanitizing yourself, wearing a mask, offering the people who find the spiritual connection foundational and fundamental to their existence, offering them prayer, offering them communion, offering them every other service they signed up for. What are you saying to us? I'm saying to you, this is the world. And if this is the world, the Bible tells us it has a God. And the Bible tells us who that God is. That God is Satan. And I'm saying to you, if you're going to sit back and hope that government will be reasonable enough to give you back public worship, you have something coming. We need to pressure this government to start recognizing us. We are not reckless. We are not idiots. It's not like we're suicide bombers. It's not like we believe that we have to recklessly go there and kill ourselves. We're responsible adults. Some of our people are in the banking sector and all other sectors, as I said earlier. And those people have been trusted. So what are you saying to us? Wake up, church. We have to start putting pressure here. I've had a look at the government. We have had a look at the government's plan from level 5 to 1. Nothing is said about us except down there at level 1 or so. That means basically, considering what is happening now, we may even talk about public worship next year at this time. I think nothing evil is ever displaced gently. And there is no way we're going to expect a secular government to have spiritual empathy. We need to say, here are the guidelines. You have let, what can be more dangerous in terms of social distancing and in terms of the precautions? What can be more dangerous than opening a saloon? How are you going to have how are you going to do someone's hair with their mask on? This is a complete trading of DNA material. And they say, no, the saloon is more responsible than the church. Wake up, church. I just wanted to share this. And one of the most disappointing thing is to go into a political meeting and hear nothing said about the church. And to go into a church meeting and hear preachers protect a government stance that completely contravenes the constitutional rights of believers, I think we should take action. Whatever action means to you, we start petitioning, we start mobilizing. We are a responsible people, and we can never let anybody look down on us as a result of that. And think about this, and don't treat it lightly. Let's engage, let's push. We are saying, even if it's on pre-lockdown conditions, we think the church is ready now. The rest of the communities out there, go to the townships. Where is lockdown there? Go to the feeding scheme sites. Where is lockdown there? Go to the taxi rank. Where is lockdown there? Go to the bus rank. With this window, people are traveling from Joburg to Cape Town in a bus. Government says it's okay. The trip takes 22 hours. Government says it's okay. In a Translux, in a Greyhound, a bus running at 70% capacity, we have close to 60 people, if not more, sitting in a confined place. There is no way those people have all their masks from Joburg to Cape Town. Government says it's okay, 22 hours, as long as it's not a church meeting. But they can't gather on their own for an hour, observing social distance, putting masks and sanitizing. Something is fishy here, and I hope you see it too. Brother Shimichi, we shall meet tonight at 10 o'clock in our devotions. Think about this.